Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Congregation of St. Joseph's Reflection for the second week of Advent. My name is Judith Minear, and I'm a sister of St. Joseph living in Cleveland, Ohio. Today is the feast of Mary's Immaculate Conception, and the Gospel from Luke recalls Mary's encounter with the angel Gabriel, who announces to her that she is going to bear God's child. Of course, Mary is astonished and humbled and doesn't understand how this miracle could possibly happen. But after a little pondering, Mary says yes to God. Yes, she will birth God's love into the world in the form of Jesus. For me, this is what Advent is all about. Mary's beautiful, trusting yes to what God asks her to do, even when it sounds impossible and maybe a little bit ridiculous. So what does this have to do with you and me? My day, our days, are filled with opportunities to bring God's love into the world a little bit at a time. The question is, are we awake enough and alert enough to recognize these opportunities? And when we do experience these opportunities, do we say yes to God, just as Mary did? I want to share with you one of my favorite brief poems, which comes to us from the Dominican mystic Meister Eckhart. It's called Love Does That. All day long, a little burro labors, sometimes with heavy loads on her back, and sometimes just with worries about things that bother only burros. And worries, as we know, can be more exhausting than physical labor. Once in a while, a kind monk comes to her stable and brings a pear. But more than that, he looks into the burro's eyes and touches her ears, and for a few seconds, the burro is free and even seems to laugh. Because love does that. Love frees. Love does that. Love frees. Advent reminds us that each of us is called to birth God into the world. Each of us has the possibility of bringing that freeing love to another. Each of us. In fact, the only way God's love can be brought into the world is through us, through our yeses. If God's love is to be born in our neighborhoods, our families, our schools and workplaces, our conversations, and even our disagreements, it requires us to show up with a yes. This pandemic has created a world filled with impatience, anxiety, anger, loneliness, a real deficit of God's love in so many small and large ways. I invite each of us to put on the cloak of the month for the remainder of this Advent season. Let's look for the ways we can infuse love and joy, caring, compassion, and dignity to the life experiences of those around us. What simple acts can we do that will bring smiles, laughter, even sighs of relief? How can you say yes, I say yes, to birthing God into the world during these Advent days and beyond, just as Mary taught us? Because love does that. Love frees. Thank you so much for joining us for this reflection, and please join us again next Wednesday at the same time for a reflection for the third week of Advent. Blessings to each of you as you continue your Advent journey.